Our president, who would be presiding, is not here yet, so I'm the vice president. We will start the interviews. First one is John Gogol.
First up, we have the interviewees for the Budget Committee, John Gogol.
Thank you. And you have 3 minutes. Is he here?
And just to be clear, we'll be letting in one interviewee at a time, and they have 3 minutes. Okay.
And you're going to announce each one, right? Are you or not?
You know, I won't announce each name unless somebody is missing. You have the schedule in front of you there.
Yeah.
But I will announce each new committee as we start a new group.
So,
okay.
And you'll bring the person in?
Yes.
Thank you.
You may want to announce the names for the recording purpose.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Welcome. This is John Gogol, first interview. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. My name is John Gogol, and I am seeking a citizen member position on the Budget Committee. I am seeking this position primarily because of my strong desire to serve the community and to make Eugene a desirable place to live for future generations. Since my first visit to Eugene 15 years ago, the community has clearly transformed both culturally and economically. As a citizen, my desire is to help continue that economic growth while maintaining the attributes that make Eugene a special place to live. I feel this overarching desire, combined with my professional and volunteer experience, makes me a good fit for this important role. I currently serve as board director with the Oregon Community Credit Union and have served as director on the Southwest Hills Neighborhood Association. I am also active with the Eugene Area Chamber of Commerce and the Regional Accelerator and Innovation Network, or RAIN, here in Eugene. My past professional work experience is focused on providing financial planning, analysis, and budgeting for large organizations, which includes participating as a staff member in the development of 5 annual budgets for the Eugene 4J School District and the Redmond School District. My experience in developing these budgets reinforced my understanding and appreciation of the resource-constrained environment that all public entities in Oregon must operate, now and in the future. As a committee member, I would seek, in cooperation with my fellow committee members and city staff, to best align the strategic priorities identified by the City Council with the city's ongoing needs and the future resources that will likely be available to it. My personal perspective on making resource allocation decisions is to assure these decisions are guided by the Council's long-term strategic vision. Specifically, I am interested in identifying potential areas of increased operating efficiencies, possibly via technological solutions, while maintaining the important public services that the community expects and deserves. Finally, I believe the purpose of city government is to enhance the quality of life for its citizens. Therefore, I would encourage and actively identify feedback from the greater community to assure their collective voice is an important component in both the trade-off decisions made by the committee and during the evaluation of the city's service delivery models. I look forward to fulfilling on this role, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Welcome. You're Ryan Moore.
Yep.
You have 3 minutes to talk.
As you heard, my name is Ryan Moore. I live in Ward 3. I'm interviewing for the Budget Committee today.
With 138 items and 218 FTE listed in the most recent unfunded needs assessment, it's pretty clear that the council must be judicious and act with restraint when allocating funding. If the goal is to increase service capacity and fund some of these unfunded needs, then current funding levels must be either adjusted, cut entirely, or new funding sources must be developed. And I know that entails really tough decisions. But we can learn a lesson from the City of Seattle. You may already be aware, last week on Monday, their City Council voted unanimously to implement a head tax on corporations doing more than $20 million in sales per year, and the revenue from that goes towards affordable housing and homeless services. As I'm sure you know, Oregon currently has the lowest corporate taxes in the entire country. I worked as a field organizer for the Yes on Measure 97 campaign, and ultimately we failed to implement something like this at the city level, but I think right now we have a really good opportunity to follow Seattle's lead and implement something at the city level. And that's exactly the sort of thing that I hope to help explore if appointed to the Budget Committee. Now, I know the Budget Committee has been talking a lot recently about Cahoots, so I sat down last Friday with one of their crisis workers. Cahoots is able to respond to certain situations at less than half the cost of dispatching an EPD unit, and yet they only operate 3 vans on staggered shifts in Eugene. And I heard that they suffer from significant delays in response time sometimes because of that. So it seems to me a good idea to explore at least possibly helping them obtain a 4th van could help improve their service and cut down on costs for Eugene by lightening the load on EPD. That said, I understand the importance of working together professionally as a team. I do that every day in Lane County Treatment Court. The core of Treatment Court is an interdisciplinary team composed of agencies from wildly different areas. We don't always agree. You can probably imagine, for example, the DA sometimes feels very differently than treatment about certain situations, but we do always come together at the end to serve effectively some of the most vulnerable and marginalized citizens from the area. I'm an ideal candidate for the Budget Committee because I'm used to working in this sort of collaborative team environment. I have a broad base of contacts at social service agencies from our area, and I'm just really passionate about the work this committee does. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, and thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Maybe this needs to be a little bit higher.
Yeah.
We have tall candidates.
Oh, yeah.
This is your Adam Rue, right?
No, time.
Ty Bruce Zimmerman.
Oh, no, I'm skipping a name. Paul Zimmerman, Bruce Zimmerman. Welcome. You have 3 minutes to tell us why you'd like to be on the Budget Committee.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon. Thanks for having me. My name is Ty Bruce Zimmerman, and I'm here asking for your appointment to the Budget Committee. Over the past couple years, I've thrown myself into community service here in Eugene. As you know from my application, I've worked with a variety of local groups, including the Sierra Club, Square One Villages, and the NAACP. And in the time since I submitted that application, I've also been appointed to and served on the Bethel School District Budget Committee and have been elected co-chair of my neighborhood association, the Active Bethel Citizens. In my day job, I work as a senior accounting clerk for Lane County, so I bring financial expertise and a familiarity with governmental fund-based accounting along with my commitment to bettering the community. And I would be able to hit the ground running as a Budget Committee member. My fundamental goal and core reason why I want to serve on the Budget Committee is to pursue a city budget that is equitable to underrepresented constituencies. I want to make sure our money goes where it will do the most good and not just to serve those most able to advocate for themselves. This includes equity for unhoused communities, for tenants, for communities of color, and geographic equity. In the process of reactivating my neighborhood association, I spoke with many people throughout Bethel, and one nearly universal theme is the feeling of being overlooked by the city at large. Bethel residents, along with those of other less central neighborhoods, feel left out of the process. And the closest we came to citizen representation on this year's Budget Committee was the one current committee member who graciously reached out to me and asked for a meeting to take an hour of her time to discuss what Bethel needs, But that 1 hour, as thankful as I am to Eliza, is not the same as having someone who's involved in our community and accessible to our community directly representing our interests. I do really appreciate the way she reached out, though, and that's a model of proactive outreach that I'll certainly follow if I'm given the opportunity. And as for other groups, my personal commitment to equity isn't limited to groups that I'm a member of. So that's where that proactive outreach comes into play. I will absolutely seek out views and perspectives from around the city and make myself accessible to communities that might feel underrepresented and do whatever I can to offer my voice to them. I know that in applying for the Budget Committee, I'm not merely asking for a few meetings in May. I'm asking to do something that's a year-long commitment, that's an ongoing, permanent job, that's what I want to do. And I sincerely hope you'll give me the opportunity. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Welcome, Adam. You're Adam Rue, right?
Correct. Good
You have
afternoon.
3 minutes.
Okay, thanks. My name's Adam Rue. I am here to express my interest in serving on the Budget Committee. I have a finance background and have worked on budgets for both public and private companies and public agencies currently at the local utility. So that's the majority of my background is in utility finance and a lot of work on budgets and then other areas directly related to budgeting. Primarily also rates and risk management and resource planning are some of the areas I've worked in. I'm currently on the LRAPA Budget Committee as well. I've worked on that in this last year's budget process, so I was involved in that and found that to be an interesting experience. I liked working or seeing how the different agencies function and interact with each other and come to decisions. So I thought that was a good opportunity for me to learn a lot, and I felt that I was able to make a contribution in that process. And so look forward to working with the city of Eugene. A little bit about my motivation for applying for this committee was I was given an assignment at my current role at the utility where we were bringing a electric rates pricing proposal to the board, and they asked us to reach out to the community and get some feedback before we brought them a proposal. So we went through a series of 6 months or so with monthly meetings, and so we had a group of engaged citizens that were involved in that, and we provided a lot of background material for them. And so and in those meetings we had a really good dialogue, and I was just really impressed with the people that engaged in that process and the people that participated, and I felt that we were able to achieve a much more beneficial outcome by engaging the community in that way. So I thought it'd be a good experience to try to work with another agency in a similar way and try to provide that kind of community perspective to the process of budget or something. So thanks for your time.
Thank you. Welcome. Your name is Alicia
My name is Alicia Voorhees.
Voorhees.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councilor. My name is Alicia Voorhees, and I would like to thank you for your consideration of my application to be a member of the Budget Committee. I am interested in this opportunity because I believe strongly in serving one's community. I see this as an opportunity to learn more about local democracy and civic engagement by actively participating on this committee. Because the budget touches all areas of our community, I believe in serving on this committee would best help accomplish that goal. My professional background is in finance. I began my career working in operations finance for Intel and held several rotational positions, including a few with a focus on budgets and planning. My experience at Intel allowed me to work with a diverse group of individuals from all over the world. Memorably, I worked in a business group where, as a result of changing technology and company investment, we needed to dramatically cut the group's budget in half and cut headcount from over 800 people to about 250 in just a matter of years. That experience taught me a lot about how to make sensitive decisions in a considerate, measured, and creative manner. I moved to Eugene in 2012 and began working in commercial lending for Summit Bank. For the past 2 years, I have worked for Sapient Private Wealth Management as a relationship manager and have discovered a passion of working with individuals, families, and businesses to provide a highly personalized level of service with their financial planning needs. I hold a Bachelor's of Science in Finance from Portland State University and an MBA from Willamette University. Last year, I took a break from all community boards and committees to focus on passing the Certified Financial Planner designation, which I did just this past November. Locally in Eugene, I have served as a board member of Bags of Love and Junior Achievement of Oregon and Southwest Washington. I have also volunteered in the classroom for Junior Achievement. I have served on the Young Professionals Summit Steering Committee for the Eugene Chamber of Commerce. I completed the Leadership Eugene Springfield program offered by the Eugene and Springfield Chambers of Commerce and subsequently became a steering committee member for that program. I have recently become a volunteer coach for the Eugene Special Olympics golf team, and I found that incredibly rewarding. As a committee member, I hope to help facilitate productive discourse regarding budget matters. I hope to ensure that there is inclusiveness of all perspectives and that the budget doesn't marginalize specific groups. Beyond that, I would really like to see performance measures, benchmarks, return on investment analyses to assess budget outcomes and help in making decision-making. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're running a bit ahead of time, but next up is toxics.
Are they here?
We have one candidate here so far.
When are we going to make the decision? I didn't say it for the first person of the budget, so I didn't want to say it for anyone else, but.
So you have the ballots, some paper ballots there.
Yeah, but when will the council make the decision?
When will the council make the decision on to vote for these candidates?
Yeah.
So you have the ballots there in front of you, and if you submit them by the 31st of this month, that would be helpful. And then the appointments are on your calendar for June 25.
June 25.
June 25. Okay, I can say that for the other people. I don't want to say anything for one candidate for one that I don't say for the others. Okay, thank you. Tell me which one it is. It's here.
Being ahead of schedule is not bad.
Probably Donald.
It's good.
Good, except for they told him to be here at 6.
Hello, welcome. Will you tell us your name, and then you have 3 minutes to tell us about why you'd like to be on the budget committee.
I'm not. Toxics.
What? I'm toxics. I'm sorry.
Toxics board.
We just finished.
You're in the right place.
You're in the right place.
Okay. My name's Donald Eugene, and I would like to be a member of the Toxics Board. I'm interested in the opportunity to serve the community because of my interest in the environment and because I am interested in the health of Eugene. I've been living here for 20 years, and I am an avid fisherman, so I do care about the watershed. I feel that the citizens of Eugene have the right to know what chemicals are being used within the city limits. And in addition, I feel it's important that, industry be properly represented on the Toxics Board. As I understand, one short and another one leaving soon, I believe. My experience with management in chemicals and waste products extends through my entire adult life, including 20 years I spent in the United States Navy Submarine Service. I am the Environmental Health and Safety Manager at Pierce Fittings over on Garfield Street. I have been directly involved with the management of various chemicals at my company for the past 5 years, including selection, inventory management, use, and control of waste products. I report to the city's Toxics Right to Know program, and I feel it's extremely important that industry reports the use of chemicals extremely accurately. The reason I applied for the Toxics Board is because I want to understand the needs of the city of Eugene, and because of my interest in serving the public where I can. I feel both my administrative and process management skills, process improvement skills would be a benefit to the Toxics Board, and I look forward to the opportunity to work with them. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be making a decision on June 25th.
June 25th. All right. Thank you.
This must be Nicole. Hi. Welcome. You must be Nicole.
I'm Nicole. Hi.
Okay. You have 3 minutes to tell us about your interest in the Toxics Board.
Okay, great. So hopefully you don't mind that I read off of this. Okay. Hi, my name is Nicole Marie Patterson, and I've applied to be member of the Toxics Board of Eugene as a community member advocate. My 6 years of employment in the field of biochemistry while pursuing my doctoral degree at the UO and previously as a research technician at OHSU and Portland, VA, gives me a good background to advocate for the health and well-being of our community. Acting as an advocate for the Eugene City Council Toxics Board will also give me an opportunity to learn how City Council operates and is a chance to participate in my community outside of the university where I currently work and spend most of my time. My experience at the citywide level is limited compared to my university advocacy, but I'm enthusiastic and excited to learn. I understand part of this position requires environmental advocacy as well as community engagement. I'm certified to assist in the cleanup of oiled wildlife. I volunteered over the summer in the care of wild birds at the Raptor Center, where I notably fed a bald eagle by hand. And I have owned my own home in Southeast Eugene for the last 3 years. I yearly purchase a share of CSA from local farmers, commute to work by bicycle, raise backyard chickens, mason bees, and I have a miniature goat. I believe it's our responsibility to contribute to our community to ensure it is as happy and healthy as possible, which to me includes the land and wildlife that share it with us. My previous experience in advocacy has been as appointed advocate for grad students last year as part of the ASUO, where I served on the executive board. I made progress increasing communication between professors and grad student teachers and assistants through work implementing a formal review process through the course eval system. I've been an elected chemistry steward for the GTFF for the last 3 years, where I was an active part of negotiating 3 years of increased compensation. I've also founded a student group, the Students of the Institute of Molecular Biology, where I work, to increase public speaking and outreach to the greater community. Thank you, and I hope I have the opportunity to serve on the board.
Thank you. We'll be making a decision on June 25th.
All right, well, thank you.
So the candidates for the Civilian Review Board are set to start at 6:10. We'll bring them in as soon as they arrive.
What time is
In
it
the
now?
meantime, you might have a bit of a break here.
Thank you.
Good.
I don't think there's any contest for the Toxics Board.
No.
No, that's one that's
They're
actually got
just,
an opening.
there's one opening for each and one candidate.
Well, there are 3 openings, 2 candidates.
Oh,
Yeah, 2 advocacy, 1 industry, and we don't have an industry.
Yeah.
They're not automatic though, right? Like,
No,
yeah, we don't have to.
you don't have to.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't, I'm just saying clarifying the rules.
It's not required for us to appoint if they're
I
the
would
only-
enjoy petting her miniature goat though. That sounded very.
But there's no contest. Anyone who applied will be there.
If Joseph Stalin applies, you'd.
But it says only one seat to fill.
There are
One
certainly
of,
some
I
people
think there's
who
one of each.
Yeah. I know
have
what you mean.
reservations.
One in the one in,
But they're both advocacy candidates.
yeah.
I thought the first guy was industry.
Oh, but he didn't get on it.
Oh, we had,
Yeah.
we have 3 vacancies,
Like he,
Yeah, I thought he said something about industry
3
too.
applicants. 1 automatically goes in, and then both of these are advocacy. So we have 2 to fill.
he's,
Were both of those advocacy?
Both advocacy. We don't have an industry candidate.
And we're only doing one advocacy, right?
Yes.
But one of them works for an industry right now.
But did not apply under the industry position.
just not.
Okay,
that big.
but he's,
Escalation.
Yeah. Applied as they had,
okay, but he's working for one of the industries that reports.
it sounds like that from what he
Yeah.
stated. Yes.
That's interesting.
I'm really disappointed in the number of the extreme lack of Ward 4 people
It's always been a challenge.
next year.
Always been a problem.
I keep telling them.
So we could,
Erica Dooley.
would we be able to appoint him to the industry position even though he applied under the advocacy? That should be easier.
That's actually a really good question.
Yes, and I'll look into it.
Because according to what you guys wrote up here for us, you guys are trying to recruit for the open industry position. Sounds like
Easier to get another.
he may be
Oh,
qualified.
very much easier. That's true, and if he works for one of the reporting companies, he would.
Sounds as if
Unless
he would.
doesn't like that.
Unless he
not
doesn't want to
do
fill that role,
yeah.
right? But his statement made it sound like he was intending to be applying for the industry. Or he noticed there was a hole and this was his way to fill it.
Which was which. It's a question.
Yeah, if you could look into that, that'd be great.
Oh, I see the civilian.
CRB has 3 vacancies, so.
Oh, the person was not available.
I couldn't come.
Lindsay can't get here till 7:30. Yeah, she was support staff.
We'll be appointing 2 of those on the CRB.
She left to go back to school.
That's a good reason.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened to Mike and Alan.
Oh, some things just aren't important enough for them.
Oh, we shouldn't be able to vote if you don't show up.
Jennifer wants to make a new council rule.
Just common courtesy.
If you don't show up for the interviews, you don't get to vote.
That's right.
It's just
That's fair.
polite. If someone's going to go to the effort, unless it's a really good reason, show up. I think. I don't know.
Showing up is
Our audience has dwindled to 1.
I know.
Yep.
Our two little.
And he's checking his phone.
Well, it is the Civilian Review Board. I think he might have a little bit of an interest.
Yeah. Gotta crush some candy until we get there.
Yeah, right.
Are we being recorded now? Not live, but dead recording.
The breaks are recorded too.
So be careful what you say, right?
Anytime we're in this room.
Shouldn't say anything you wouldn't say to someone's face.
Yeah, this is public space.
I remember once when someone said something inappropriate when they thought the mics were off. I went
Yeah, I know
out.
several mayors.
Can you
that have
repeat
done
what it
That was a mayor. That's a mayor I'm
It
talking
was a
about.
mayor.
There's been 2 or 3 mayors that have done that.
One was really, I don't know.
Scandalous.
I remember when the mayor of New York did that.
Really?
Hot mic problem.
Which one, Rudy?
Oh, no, this was way back.
He
This
still
was John
has, he
Lindsay.
still has a hot
John
mic
Lindsay.
problem.
I liked him.
Yeah, well, remember his hot mic problem?
No, but
Yeah, he thought the mic was off.
I want to know who put those screens back on back there. I pulled them up last week.
They're better than the Venetian blind ones.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
are.
but it's still, if they're up, we can really see out. So it looks like, now it looks all shadowy.
I can see it.
Looks like we're in a cage.
Still better than the Venetian blinds.
Well, at least it's a nice cage.
It's an updated cage. Oh, really?
It's what?
Great.
It's a new world.
So that way when they're randomly shooting, they don't know they're shooting? Is that the?
I don't know. I guess you can see out better than you can see
It
it.
might be better if they knew we were not the Board of Commissioners.
That's what I was thinking. Like, if they're coming here, that
Good
might.
point.
That was mean.
If we were the board, we'd be well
Those
off
kind that are like half and half,
financially.
going all the way down, and they're like doing this.
So,
Or you can go halfway, and they're really kind of cool.
Neat.
The small things in life.
Well, I think Mike is not coming.
I actually installed them with a minimum of swearing.
Nice.
He could have told me.
It's like making IKEA furniture.
Would have been polite, as Jennifer noted.
Where's Alan?
No, and he was so interested in who everyone voted for.
I was thinking the same thing.
Did you see the Trevor Noah thing where he was saying that when police are called out on, like a false alarm, or when they call them out, just, white person, because they're going, if it's a false alarm like that, what they should start doing is the same as the fire department. When your fire trucks are called out on a false alarm, you get a bill. So what you should do is when the police are called out on these kind of things, send them a bill. I think that's a great idea.
At least with one warning. I also, somebody in my office accidentally dialed 911 and then hung up, which apparently you're not supposed to do. Police were had me see him like a minute or two.
Right, because of the hang-up.
Yeah, they can.
But if you call.
GPS, they track the GPS.
No, right, but because they didn't know if, like,
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
someone
yeah.
was preventing her from.
No,
But
it was
it's
actually a good
like-
thing. It was actually a
The
good
thing we learned was it's better to call and hang up than to call
We have an
back.
extra
I mean,
CRB at
this-
7:30.
I mean, I wouldn't do
If it's an
that,
accident,
but
sure,
I
yeah.
mean,
I see what
that
you're
was kind of the outcome, the realistic outcome.
This would fall under the category of nuisance, not accident.
Right.
Like the woman at Yale that keeps calling.
I guess people call about really stupid things. Like I got fired, or stuff that
Send them a bill.
yeah, speak up.
Alan!
There he is.
decided to come.
Nice of you to join us. We were just talking about you.
You don't get to vote on anything you weren't here for.
There's a mic. Tell us why you want to be here.
We're being
Elected
recorded
now
but not
for
broadcast.
years.
Yeah, we're being recorded right now.
That's why we're all sitting here silently.
Not talking about the royal wedding?
Yeah, we're done. We're
I
over
didn't get
that.
up that early.
We're over it.
We played it all day long.
I thought we were divorced from a long time ago.
Thank you.
One of
mean you
us
can't
just
go to a
decided to marry
wedding.
back into the family.
I don't even always go to my own family's weddings. I'm certainly not going to watch someone who I don't know. Although I did like the mayor's
Did have a
party that she had
13-year
last
fight about this. That's right.
They all had fancy hats, and they came over to her house and had a big party.
We're not asking questions.
Exactly. She's
We're not
her
asking questions.
There are Anglophiles among
No.
us.
Yeah.
I'm one,
Really?
but I just don't get
Really?
Giving them time to talk,
That's right.
and then that's it?
That's it.
What's that?
That's it, we're still
Why
looking
not?
at our ex England, right?
I guess we got a little heart patter.
We're not asking a question.
I don't know.
Betty's been running a tight ship, so we're ahead of schedule.
We're not asking questions?
No?
No, we're not.
Nope, they only do their 3 minutes.
And staff has prepared them well, because they all seem to know the program more than we do.
They do it very well.
Yep.
They come in speaking.
Of course, if you wanted to ask a question, that is up to you. But we have,
That wouldn't be fair.
okay.
Well, you got to ask all three of them the same question.
Then we'll be behind time.
We would have to have the questions ahead of time and ask the same one of all of them.
So what did you tell them to talk about?
We asked people to come in, state their name, and say a bit about their background and history and what inspired them to apply. Why they'd like to be on the Board or Commission.
And they have 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes, and that's it, and they've done very well at getting through by then or sooner.
Yes, and I've made a note for next year that this moves along rather quickly so that we can not have these delays like this
I'm in a bullpen.
to the best that we can.
Yeah.
And Mike isn't here, and he didn't tell us ahead of time he wasn't coming.
Bad, Mike.
So we were talking smack about him.
So you're chairing?
I'm doing it, yes, but
Well done.
I wasn't prepared ahead of time because I didn't know I was going to be doing it, but I'm doing it.
It's a lot easier with no questions.
We moved to putting King Elizabeth in the
We also skipped
Chair.
the introducing ourselves, each of us introducing ourselves.
Because we have nameplates.
Which we used to do in the other.
I know, I don't know if we should, if we were going to do it, we should do it for every candidate for one position.
I think since, as Chris said, since our names
Since,
are up.
since my name was here, I figured that worked.
And we're not dialoguing with.
Yeah.
These are really short interviews. I mean, 2.5 minutes. Didn't we do 5 last year with questions or something?
Oh, she's back. She's got the answer.
Last year you did do 3 as well. It was the exact same structure this year as it was last year.
Okay.
We did introduce
Confused with
ourselves.
Jennifer's application.
If you want us to introduce ourselves, we could do it all for we could start it now because we're starting a new group. Do you want us to?
No.
Doesn't matter.
I don't.
No. Why should we take up time with that?
Yeah, and I don't think we should do the talent competition either.
I do remember mine being more than 3 minutes.
Oh, the talent competition?
Grilled you.
He's making a joke.
Did
They don't even have to do
Saying
the
we can
talent
skip
competition this
the-
year?
The
you prepare for it?
And the bathing suit competition.
What if they
skipped that
dance? Tap dancer.
Well, he means we. Who's doing the talent competition, us or them?
That's true.
I mean, if they could tap dance, that's good qualifications for this.
Maybe for being up here with us, but
Didn't Gulliver have them walk a tightrope?
We're down to CRB.
Okay, here we have the first candidate for the Civilian Review Board, Christopher Hayes.
Okay, welcome. Will you tell us your name, and then you have 3 minutes to talk.
Sounds good. Good evening, everybody. My name's Christopher Hayes. I believe I'm in Mr. Zelenka's ward, Ward 3. My interest in joining the Civilian Review Board is multifaceted. I believe that I have a solid background that speaks well to this position. Number one, I was born and raised here in Eugene and Springfield, mostly Eugene. I work in the community. The business that I am a part of, that I'm an executive of, is downtown, so I deal with a lot of the goings-on of downtown. I'm also a 6-year veteran of the U.S. Air Force. In that time, I spent 5 of those years traveling around the world, stationed in Japan mostly. But also, I was deployed 5 times for a total of 20 months. And in those deployments, I learned firsthand how how stressful life and death situations can be and how real the real world can be. And I think that kind of understanding and knowledge would be very beneficial at a position like this, because you learn pretty quickly that, you train, you hope to make, your policies, your procedures, your standard operating, procedures just kind of be like almost second nature, almost muscle memory. But sometimes when you're in a high stress situation, you have no time but to react or just act on instinct. And I think that my background, I'd be able to look at different situations. Obviously, not every situation that's going to come up on the Civilian Review Board is going to be a life or death, I had to act now situation. But I feel that my background would, benefit this board. If you'll allow me to use my cell phone real quick, I put down 5 notes. So my 5 main goals for joining the CRB is, number 1, to improve the relationship and image our officers have within the community. Right now, the national view of police is in a bit of decay, deteriorating, but I feel that we're actually pretty lucky in this community and we have a good relationship with our police. And so I think that's something that we could build upon. Number 2, increase the public's knowledge and understanding of the police work. Number 3, promote the goals of this community as they pertain to policing. We are a quickly growing community, and there's going to be hiccups and bumps along the way. And so I would like to be an advocate for our community and hopefully a steadying factor. Reassure the community that appropriate discipline is being handed out for misconduct, appropriate for the situation, not just, blanket punishments. And then finally, to complement the other internal and external mechanisms and places, organizations that are already in place for measuring police accountability.
Thank you.
All right,
We'll be
thank you,
making a
everybody.
decision on June 25th.
Have a great evening.
Hi, welcome. Will you please give us your name, and then you have 3 minutes to talk.
Thank you very much. Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Jesse London, and I stand here today asking to be appointed as a member of the Civilian Review Board. I believe strongly that the public's perception of confidence in our police force and our government in general is a key factor to promoting safety and understanding in our community. I believe that my experience in understanding the needs and stresses of the police forces and also the crucial importance of their professional interaction with citizens makes me a good choice for the appointment. Professionally, I'm an attorney where my primary practice is civil litigation and intellectual property. However, I have always believed strongly that our members of the community, especially those of us who have the public trust, should give back some of their time to the community. I have served, since I became an attorney, on both the Federal District Court Pro Bono panel and the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals Pro Bono program, where I've given several hundred hours to underprivileged litigants who need help in civil matters. However, I have also committed part of my time to working as a backup municipal prosecutor, which I do now in Florence and Cottage Grove. I'm also happy to serve as a judge pro tem in Veneta from time to time. But as anyone knows who has served as a backup role in a municipal setting, you're not in it for the money. I began working as a prosecutor even in law schools and as district attorney intern because I believe then, as I do now, that if you want to see justice done towards your fellow citizens, you cannot simply point a critical finger at the police, the prosecutors, and the city governors who try to keep the community safe, but rather you must bring your own values, sense of social justice, and your work ethic to serve the community if you want to see justice done. At this moment, I'm a father to my first child, a daughter who's almost 1 year old, and it's of course knowing that she'll grow up in this community that also redoubles my desire to serve and make a safe community for both of them. In my role as a municipal prosecutor, I work intimately with the police force and also the public, both as defendants and victims. In reviewing my cases, I see both the good and the bad that happens as part of the police interactions with the citizens and amongst themselves as colleagues. I also see the good and the bad among our citizens also. Policy and analysis are important to me. I'm a graduate of Carnegie Mellon University, where I studied decision-making, and Cornell Law School. And beyond being proud of those achievements personally, I mention them here only to say that it reflects my view that anything worth studying is worth doing with rigor and commitment. In reviewing my cases as a prosecutor, serving the community in that capacity, I try to analyze each situation thoroughly, fairly, and with an eye to ensuring both justice and stability in our system, as I would do if I was appointed to the review board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll be making a decision on June 25th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we do not have Erica Dooley here as of yet. You have a break now until 6:50, and we'll resume with the Planning Commission candidates.
What time was Erica told to come be here?
6:10.
Give her a couple more minutes.
Yeah, so if she does arrive, we can tack her on to the beginning of the next round.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't start again until 6:50.
Yes.
Okay, so
Could we start earlier if people are here?
Yeah, no kidding, right?
If our next group arrives.
The next group, I can let you know if we have enough people here to begin, certainly. But they are expecting to begin at 6:50.
But they would surely come a little before that.
They're asked to arrive 10 to 15 minutes in advance
Okay.
of their time.
So if we,
Let's come back earlier then.
yeah.
Okay.
What about like 6:35 if we're all back here and then you don't have to round us up?
It's your choice.
Yes,
Okay.
6:35, 6:40, something like that.
6:35.
And
Okay.
if someone's here, we can get started.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you all.
Unless you're going to bring martinis or something.
If we took a half an hour, we could have gone to the bar.
Martinis. The Davis might send some over for us.
That would make for a great interview. Was there food?
Hey, Mr. Mark.
Hi. You want to be on the CRB? Yeah.
Yeah.
You already
Voters
did.
have spoken.
Chris Ramey and Beeson and Tiffany have resigned. Okay,
Good.
guys, don't screw up.
Oh. Hi. Welcome. Please state your name, and then you have 3 minutes to talk.
Thank you. My name is Chris Ramey. I live at 1755 Fairmount Boulevard, and I'm here as an applicant for the Planning Commission. I was born, raised, and educated in Eugene and moved to New York City after graduating from the university there. I spent 6 years practicing architecture in New York City and have my license from New York State. I then moved to Portland, where I spent a year practicing architecture before I decided to try life as an owner's representative. My first job as an owner's representative was with the University of Oregon here in Eugene. I eventually became the university's Associate Vice President for Campus Planning, Design, and Construction. I also oversaw the Real Estate Group and the Sustainability Office. During my early years in Eugene, I volunteered on several boards, including the YMCA and the Eugene Education Fund. I also served 6 years on the Historic Review Board, was the president of the local AIA chapter, and served on a handful of citizens' advisory committees. As the children grew older and the work got more intense, I decided to step back from volunteering. A couple of years ago, after overseeing the university's largest building boom, I decided to do something different. I stepped down from my university position and opened a consulting practice. I now do facilities planning consulting for the university and other institutions. I recently joined the Community Block Development Grant Advisory Committee, and our recommendations will be coming to you next Tuesday. I believe that public service in the community is part of being a citizen. Growing up in Eugene, I looked to my adult neighbors and my friends' parents who found the time to serve on school boards, city council, and even serve as mayor. I still admire these individuals and want to live up to the examples they set. With nearly 35 years of work in the field of facility planning and master planning, I have extensive knowledge of master plans, architecture, landscape architecture, and historic preservation. I can apply this knowledge to help provide advice, counsel, and judgment as the city's development proceeds. I have significant experience working within groups to gain consensus as we solve the problems in front of us. I'm a good listener, and I intend to do my homework. I believe being a good citizen is being a good committee member, means coming prepared and listening with an open mind to what others have to say. What I hope to accomplish is helping the community grow and change while at the same time preserving the qualities that make it a great place to live. Thank you for listening to me this evening. Thank you for being here. It's wonderful to have people like you volunteering to do the work that you do. I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. We'll be making a decision on June 25th.
Okay.
No questions.
No, we're not not having questions tonight.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What happened to our timers?
Ooh,
Actually, I like to know how long they take. It's okay. There's only a few left, but I've actually been keeping track.
The timer's down there now. Welcome. Please state your name and tell us, then you have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Ken Beeson. I would like to serve on the Planning Commission. I think that I offer a good combination of experience and commitment that will enable me to be an effective member of the group. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you tonight. Eugene is my home. I was raised in Eugene. I've lived here most of my life. I retired from EWEB several years ago. I have over 30 years of municipal electric and water utility experience in planning, development, and operation of public utility systems. I'm dedicated to public service, and I believe that I can offer value back to the community. I've got experience in local government, including service on the city budget committee and also the Human Services Commission. I've got experience in nonprofit operation, management, and governance. And I think that I can effectively represent my opinions and at the same time listen to different views, and then work effectively to help achieve consensus recommendations. All of this, I think, helps provide a good foundation for effective participation on the commission. I'm interested in learning about and providing input on local planning and land use. I want to help determine the most effective use of limited land and infrastructure in our community. And I want to help determine how best to accommodate the increasing population. I'd like to be part of the community-based decision-making. I believe in the value of public participation, and I think the Planning Commission work exemplifies that value. I'm interested in the work. I'm able to commit the time and the energy to prepare and to contribute. I'm ready to learn and work and participate in the group. So I appreciate your consideration, and thank you for inviting me to speak with you.
Thank you. We'll be making a decision on June 25th.
Thank you.
Hi. Welcome. Will you please state your name, and you have 3 minutes to talk.
Thank you. Well, thank you, members of City Council. My name is Tiffany Edwards, and I'm seeking your consideration for an appointment to the Planning Commission. I'll go through a couple of reasons. First of all, I believe public service is very important, and I'm a firm believer in dedicating your time and talents to areas where you feel you can make a difference. And for me, I have chosen to pursue the Planning Commission for a couple of reasons. I feel that the work is critical and that the decisions are truly shaping the future of our community. I see that we're kind of at a crossroads in our timeline here in Eugene, and that we have a lot of competing and diverse values. And I feel that strong leadership and the ability to make some tough decisions are necessary. I'm also seeing firsthand the challenge to balancing the planned growth that we are all expecting with the neighborhood livability that allows us to evolve as a community while also preserving what makes Eugene so special. And so I'm committed and able and willing to listen, learn, and roll up my sleeves and make some thoughtful, well-informed decisions to support deliberate and planned growth of our community, balanced with preservation of our quality of life. A little bit about me. I'm a native Oregonian. I grew up in Bend. And after spending about a decade in Seattle, after earning my degree in communications, I returned to my hometown where I opened a business, and I became very involved in my community. I served on a number of boards and commissions and task forces, and took an opportunity of a lot of volunteer opportunities in my community. And through that work, I was led kind of into phase 2 of my career, which was with the legislature. So I spent 8 years serving under 3 different legislators on both sides of the aisle as chief of staff, where I did a lot of work with public policy, and so I know my way around legislation. I did extensive work with constituents, and so I have a very strong sense of community needs and issues and concerns. And through that work, I actually met my husband and moved over to Eugene about 6 years ago. In that work, it kind of led me to what I'm doing now, which most of you know me from my advocacy work with the Eugene Area Chamber of Commerce, where I advocate on behalf of our members, which are largely small businesses, on issues that matter to us in our community. I also currently sit on the BEST board and the steering committee for Better Housing Together. And I'm very much looking forward to this opportunity, so thank you.
Thank you. We'll be making a decision on June 25th.
Thank you, Council.
Welcome. Will you please state your name, and then you have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay, Lisa Fragola. So good evening, City Council members. Thank you for your service to our community and for the opportunity to potentially serve the citizens of Eugene on the Planning Commission. My name's Lisa Fragola, and I've called Eugene home for nearly 30 years now. I'm an elementary educator in the 4J school district. Interestingly enough, I do have a background in planning. My undergraduate was in environmental studies, and my degree was an interdisciplinary approach to public planning and ecology. I originally moved to Oregon to work for the Forest Service. However, the skills I believe I can bring to the Planning Commission are a bit different. We already have great technical expertise represented by both city staff and current members of the commission. As we move to implement the Envision Eugene plan for our city, I think we need additional perspectives available on the Planning Commission, and I believe I can provide this. Central to our community's vision for Eugene are the families that live here. When we talk about planning for economic opportunities, the need for parks and transportation systems, and the development of affordable housing opportunities, we are essentially talking about what a family requires to thrive. As an elementary educator, I have a very intimate view of what is happening with families locally, and I believe this is an essential perspective we need as the city of Eugene plans for increases in population over the next 20 years. One of the reasons I applied for the commission is noticing how many children in our schools are experiencing housing instability. I can't emphasize the impact that this has on young minds and the need to find a long-run, long-term accessible and affordable solution. As an educator, I believe myself to be an advocate for families, and I would bring this advocacy to the commission. An additional skill set I can bring to the commission is my experience in working on equity issues. In the 4J district, I've been part of equity action teams with both administrators and educators to think about systematic change regarding equity issues. I have an understanding of how to use equity lenses to evaluate programs and systems, and most recently I've worked with the NAACP and Lane Equity Coalition to support community conversations around equity. I also have a clear understanding of what is required to serve on a board or commission. I'm currently a member of the Friendly Area Neighbors Board and currently serve on the FAN Emergency Preparedness Team, the FAN Equity Action Team, and recently the NLC Equity Subcommittee. Anyone who knows me can tell you I'm hardworking, detail-oriented, and bring effective communication skills to any project I participate in. Please consider me for one of the positions on the City of Eugene's Planning Commission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be making a decision on June 25th.
Great. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Be Nicholas. Welcome. Please state your name, and then you have 3 minutes to talk.
Good evening, councilors, and thank you for your time tonight. My name is Nicholas Meltzer, and I'm here applying to be a member of the Planning Commission. I'd like to briefly discuss my strengths and interests in the position. Since I moved to Eugene 5.5 years ago, I've lived in 3 different neighborhoods across the city, predominantly been a renter, and am a soon-to-be homeowner. I have been a student at the university, and am now a young professional working downtown. Additionally, I regularly commute by foot, bicycle, bus, and car. I'm as familiar with the good bicycle infrastructure as well as the challenge of trying to get on the Beltline at 5 p.m. during the week. I believe this diversity of experiences leaves me well suited to represent the many viewpoints of Eugenians. In terms of professional qualifications, I'm a licensed professional civil engineer with a master's degree in community and regional planning. This background gives me a unique ability to both understand the importance of system development charges in expanding our infrastructure, as well as discuss the potential benefits of reducing them to encourage the construction of additional housing. Perhaps most importantly, I love planning. The complexities of our land use system, the success of quality public engagement, balancing the needs of many. These are things I enjoy doing in my profession and love talking about with friends. I've been known to watch Planning Commission meetings at home on the weekend, talk about zoning whenever I visit new cities, and spend evenings watching the entirety of public hearings on implementation of Senate Bill 1051 and accessory dwelling units. My interest in being on the Planning Commission is driven by a desire to help the city of Eugene face its upcoming challenges. I know the city is in the midst of a housing crisis. I know there are aggressive climate change goals which are directly impacted by our transportation and land use decisions. I know it will take hard work to implement the goals of Envision Eugene. I want to use my passion and skills to help solve these challenges while representing the broad and diverse residents of Eugene. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be making a decision on June 25th.
Thank you.
That's the end of the Planning Commission.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. An abundance of wealth. Thanks for coming, John.
Too many good ones and not enough.
That's true. What do you say?
Better to have too many good ones than not enough.
Absolutely. Apply again later.
So once again, we're running ahead of schedule, and we are still gathering candidates outside for the next group, the Human Rights Commission. So if you all wouldn't mind waiting about 5 minutes, and we will get the next group going.
Erica Dooley show up?
With the next group is Human Rights, right?
My friend's backyard. And
Erica Dooley?
Oh my.
What?
Erica Dooley is CRB lady who didn't show up.
Not yet.
Might not be such a bad idea.
Your question, Counselor Taylor?
Next, we're going to Human Rights Commission?
Yes.
And you say some of those people are here?
They weren't scheduled to begin for another 15 minutes, so we only have, we're still waiting for people. If we could have about 5 more minutes.
We can take them out of order if somebody's already here.
Okay. We have 2 candidates who are here. Would you like to begin?
Oh, of course, let's go ahead. Which ones are they?
I believe Grace Zena is here, and I'm not sure who else.
Okay, thank you.
We'll take them as they come.
Yes. She was number 1 anyway.
Still have to wait for Lindsay Foltz.
Yeah.
Hey, Liz,
She's busy.
early.
And call Lindsay Foltz and tell her to come early. What's her name again?
Grace? It's Grace Zena, I think.
Yeah. Hey, Cass, can you see if Lindsay Foltz can get here early by calling her?
Welcome. Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes to talk.
Awesome. I'll try to be brief. Good evening. My name is Zena Grace, and I am from Chicago by way of New York City. And I applied for this Human Rights Commission volunteer position because when I first got here, a little after I first got here, I started working with the Human Rights Commission Whole Eugene Community United. And I was a part of that work group working with Bonnie Souza and some of the other commissioners. And it was from there where I wanted to give back specifically to the city of Eugene, because upon arriving here, I realized as a person of color that I was pretty invisible. And so I was grateful to know that there was a work group here in Eugene where I can bring my unique experiences and perspectives as a Black woman from Chicago to the work environment here. Previously, before coming to Eugene, I got most of my activism experience from Columbia College Chicago, where I received my bachelor's in cultural studies and a Black World Studies minor. And there I worked as a student ambassador for the Office of Multicultural Affairs and African American Studies. And while there, I really got into activism, like I did a march on Washington for affirmative action. I was around campus doing presentations and having panels for diversity and equity around the city of Chicago, and just basically being at the forefront of the movement for human rights and diversity and equity for people of color. And I made this silent like vow or oath to myself that as long as I'm in this skin, this beautiful skin that I am in, that I will commit myself to this cause. I will commit myself to the cause for my people, because there are ancestors who died for me to even be in this room, who died for me to be in Eugene, who died for me to have the opportunity to have 3 degrees. I recently graduated from Northwest Christian University last week with my second master's in school counseling. And at some point, I'll be opening up a practice consulting firm, Shining Grace, in which I will carry my mission further for human rights and equity for my students of color here, because I think that it is necessary for our voices to be heard. And that is why I'm here, and I am grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be making a decision on June 25th.
Okay, thank you.
Names were reversed.
Uh-huh. Not on the ballot.
Hello, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Please say your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Well, good evening, and thank you for inviting me to interview for a position at the Human Rights Commission. My name is Rick Guerra, and I've been a member of the Eugene community for over 40 years. Initially, I came to Eugene to attend the University of Oregon, and during my undergraduate studies, I came to love Eugene and Oregon and the Pacific Northwest. And after obtaining my undergraduate degree, I decided to call Eugene home, and was fortunate enough to find a position that began a career in public service that spanned 34 years. My first position was, in fact, with the city of Eugene, where I was employed for 18 years. I worked in the Parks Department, Eugene Public Library, and eventually worked in Human Resources, the Organizational Development Manager in charge of training and organizational development, where I was involved with the initial efforts the city was making towards developing equity and diversity programs and policies. From the city, I transitioned to the University of Oregon as Associate Director of the U of O Career Center. And I worked there with students of color and veterans in obtaining employment, get them in front of employment recruiters from national companies, nonprofits, government agencies. And it was a fulfilling position in that I was able to see students launch careers into the field of their choice. And as fulfilling as it was, I felt a calling to return to the field of human resources. And I was able to find a position with the Eugene Water and Electric Board as a senior HR consultant, where I worked with executives and supervisors and managers on developing HR programs and policies. I represented eWeb on the ECC, which is the Equity and Community Consortium. For those of you not familiar with that, it is an organization or a group of organizations and public agencies in Lane County. Representatives come from the University of Oregon, LCC, LCOG, Eugene and Springfield, LTD, eWeb, and the school districts from Bethel, Eugene, and Springfield, and also Lane Education Service District. The organizations involved share a memorandum of understanding that outlines the value and importance of diversity and equity in their respective communities. And I represented eWeb as a member of the group for 6 years and was the co-chairperson for 3 of those years. I'd like to bring my experience and skills to the Human Rights Commission. I feel I can add value to the diversity and equity discussion. As a recent retiree, I've recognized that I have public service in my blood, and I'd like the opportunity to continue to serve the community as a member of the Human Rights Commission. I firmly believe that the impact that we make on the world begins at home, and I've called Eugene my home for over 40 years, and I've seen a lot of changes in our community. And during that time, you know, some things good, some things bad, but I'd like to do my part to ensure the community at large is better for my time here.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and consideration.
We'll be making a decision on June 25th.
Thank you.
Serena Markstrom is not here quite yet, but we have Elena Molina.
Thank you. Welcome. Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay. So good evening, City Council. My name is Ana Molina, and I would like to be a member of the Human Rights Commission. I would like to be a member of the Commission in order to help build stronger relationships with diverse members of our community. In this position, I will try my best to support the Commission's accountability to the community. In order to do so, we must have effective measures put in place so that the city government can be held accountable when our human rights standards are not met. And that means building the Commission's capacity to respond and be proactive about the human rights violations. Building relationships will help to build trust between community members and the city. This is what I really believe in, being intentional about our relationships and accountability to the community in Eugene, ensuring that the most vulnerable members in our communities are treated with dignity and respect, and that their voices are heard and uplifted and their issues addressed. This will in effect help the whole community because human rights should be for everyone. I have valuable experience in the area of human rights. During my undergraduate years, I helped establish the Undocumented Student Center at Humboldt State University. I was also part of the hiring for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Executive Director as a student representative. And through my work, I also serve on the Oregon Just Transition Alliance Steering Committee, which is a multi-stakeholder and statewide coalition. My formal education is in environmental studies, but my interest has always been in social justice, as I always go out of my way to help and volunteer and be involved in the community. That way I can better understand where it is that I am and who are the people involved and what exactly the community is facing. So I am passionate and I want to be on this board because in order for the commission to be successful, you have to have people who want to be there and are committed to the work. And I'm passionate and want to be committed to the work. So thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. We'll be making a decision on June 25th.
Okay, thank you.
So we do not have Serena Markstrom here yet. She's not scheduled for another 10 minutes, so we can await her arrival. We have not reached Lindsay Foltz, but we're working on it.
And the other person who didn't show up, you haven't heard from?
No word.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
We didn't have a no-show.
Erica Dooley.
Oh.
Erica Dooley.
Okay.
She isn't coming if she hasn't come by now.
Probably.
Oh, she was the one who's supposed to be here about 6:15.
Yeah, she didn't show.
6. Okay.
I wonder if, being recorded, but I wonder if the teacher knew that they make it.
Hopefully,
Yeah, I always worry like when people don't show up.
Oh.
I was a teacher, I couldn't get away at
Yeah, that can happen
public
too.
schools, I mean. I don't.
I know what people did before their phone told them where to be.
No kidding.
Why are we so silent? Because we know we're being recorded. having a rest. Does it get dark about 8?
No, we have to go home and read the written ones and watch the tape, throw some sticks around.
Did you give us a ballot?
Good try.
Yeah, we got ballots.
These are just for interview.
Oh, we've already, these are in interview.
It says ballot.
It says ballot, we got ballots. Some of them say to appoint, some of them say the interview. See?
They all say.
Yeah, that says interview, but there's some that say appoint.
Ballots. This is our ballots.
Are these
Oh,
out
the
there?
blue ones are the ones that got interviews. They're giving us the whole
Blue ones
sheet.
are the ones that got interviewed.
Got it. Thank you.
And
So that's who we should vote on.
yeah, and then there are we also have them in our packet.
Hi.
Yeah, I remember that.
Welcome. Please state your name, and then you have 3 minutes to talk.
Hi, good evening. My name is Serena Markstrom Nugent, and I am applying for a position on the Human Rights Commission. I came to apply for the position because a member of the community who reads a lot of my Facebook rants thought I would be good on the police commission. But when I looked at the openings, I thought this was the one that matched my background and my interests the most. I grew up in Eugene. I came here when I was 5, or my parents brought me here. And I've gone through all Eugene public schools. I went to the U of O and studied journalism. And I almost double majored in Spanish, but the literature classes were too hard. But I did study abroad and have some Spanish proficiency. I can read and understand a lot in Spanish. My own background, a lot of people think that I am Mexican-American. A lot of Eugene police officers have thought that. But I actually have a black dad and a white mom, and so growing up in Eugene as a person of color, I'm, well aware of kind of the unique way that some really well-meaning white people act toward people of color. And I think my background as a journalist is, I think the thing about this commission that really drew me in was how much sort of outreach, and the last big project being the doing the little community groups where you ask people what, was important to them. And, being part about something like that would be, I know you're not going to do the same thing again, but I just thought that would be really rewarding work that I'd be good at. I can easily navigate in a lot of different environments, I look a lot younger than I am, and part of why I applied as well was sort of that impulse to give back has always been there, but I've just never felt grown up enough to be part of any official city thing. But now I have 2 kids, and I feel really grown up. And also, when I worked at the Register Guard, which I did for 10 years, I wasn't really allowed to be involved with anything that would indicate that I had a point of view, and I definitely have a point of view, even more so since not working at the Register Guard, given the way I stopped working there. You guys can Google it if that's ethical. So anyway, I just feel like my biggest contribution would be able to bring in a lot of my social networks and my networks and bring the concerns to people and help them figure out what, how they can be heard. It's less about my own personal interests and more about connecting people to resources.
Thank you. We'll be making a decision on June 25th.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Lastly, we have Lindsay Foltz, Civilian Review Board.
Great, thank you. Welcome, please state your name, and then you have 3 minutes.
Hey, so my name's Lindsay Foltz, and I've had the pleasure of working with many of you. But for those of you I haven't met, I'll tell you a little bit about my background, and then I won't take the full 3 minutes, so if you have questions, that's fine too. I previously served on the Civilian Review Board for about 1.5 years. I think it was 2015, 2016. And for about half that time, I was the vice chair. I ended up taking a short-term job with the city, which is why I resigned from the CRB at the time. But now that I've transitioned to the U of O, I'm really glad to be able to apply again. So I bring with me also experience working with the Human Rights and Neighborhood Involvement Office. And this brought me in close contact with a lot of different communities and constituencies, but also in a lot of collaborative work with the Eugene Police Department, particularly on hate and bias, crime and activity. So I have a deep appreciation for the role that police play in our community. But I've also witnessed firsthand the damage that can be caused when officers aren't held accountable or don't follow policy or abuse their power, which is significant. I mean, their power is significant. So my main motivation in seeking appointment to the board is my belief that both civilian and officer safety is improved by robust police oversight, and that the Civilian Review Board provides a critical element of transparency and the opportunity for civilian involvement and understanding of the police oversight system. So I believe that the work of the auditor increases confidence in police both internally and externally. I think one of the things I was struck by the last time I served on the Civilian Review Board was that the auditor does receive a number of internal officer-generated complaints, which tells to me that there are officers who have confidence in the process, which I think is important. So this increase in confidence, I think, increases safety. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have. That's all I have to say for myself.
Thank you.
Thank
you. We'll be making a decision on June 25th.
Great. Thank you.
That's all we have for the evening.
Thank you.
Do we have to go home?
That was one efficient meeting.
Good preparation of the candidates.
Yeah, it went well.